Imagine getting fined today for walking your child to the airport gate or letting them sell lemonade on the sidewalk. Sounds crazy, right? But in the 1990s, that was just another Saturday. We grew up in a world with fewer rules and a lot more trust. Now, many of those simple joys are illegal. Stick around. Some of these will surprise you. Number 1, airport gate access pre-9/11. There was a time when airports weren't locked down like fortresses. In the 90s, you could walk your loved ones straight to the gate. No boarding pass, no security checkpoint. Just a warm goodbye and maybe a few tears at the jetway. Kids would press their noses to the glass, watching planes take off, while grandparents stood nearby waving proudly. It wasn't just convenient, it was meaningful. But all of that ended after 9/11. Overnight, terminals became restricted zones. Security tightened, rules changed, and the human moments disappeared behind barriers. Now the best you get is a quick hug at the curb. For those of us who remember the old way, it wasn't just about air travel, it was about connection, and that simple act of walking someone to their gate, it's something today's travelers will never quite understand. Number 2, smoking sections in restaurants. Back in the 90s, walking into a restaurant meant making a choice, smoking or non-smoking. But let's be honest, the smoke didn't care. It drifted across booths, danced in the sunlight, and clung to your clothes no matter where you sat. Ashtrays were as common as salt shakers, and a cigarette after dinner felt as natural as dessert. I remember sitting in those smoky diners, coffee in hand, old jukebox humming, someone lighting up just a table away. It felt like part of the place, but times changed. Health concerns, lawsuits, and new laws swept the smoke away. By the 2000s, most states had banned it indoors. Today, it's hard to imagine lighting a cigarette inside a Waffle House. But back then, it was just part of the air we breathed, like it or not. And in some strange way, I kind of miss it. Number 3, corporal punishment in schools. Back in the day, discipline wasn't a warning slip or a phone call home. It was a paddle. And I'm not talking metaphor. In the 90s, especially in certain states, getting sent to the principal's office could mean a real swat with a wooden board. Teachers kept paddles hanging in plain sight, and just the sound of one coming down on a desk was enough to straighten most kids up. It wasn't considered abuse, it was tough love, and most parents supported it. I remember classmates coming back from the office with watery eyes and a new respect for the rules. But as time went on, attitudes shifted. Studies raised concerns about psychological harm, lawsuits followed, and one by one, states banned the practice. These days, most schools rely on detentions, suspensions, or counseling. And while some still debate whether the old ways were better, one thing's for sure, today's classrooms feel a whole lot different than the ones we grew up in. Number 4, homemade food at fundraisers and lemonade stands. There was a time when no one thought twice about buying a slice of pie from a church table or a brownie from a kid at a school fundraiser. We trusted our neighbors. Kids set up lemonade stands in front yards with nothing more than a fold-out table and a cardboard sign. No permits, no health inspections, just sugar, water, and big smiles. I remember helping my grandkids make cookies for a school bake sale. No labels, no ingredients lists, just a little love and a lot of butter. But those simple gestures, today they're tangled in red tape. Many states now require permits, food handling certifications, and even inspection for home-baked goods. In some places, even a child's lemonade stand can be shut down for not having a license. What used to be a sweet part of growing up is now considered a liability. And in trying to make everything safer, we lost a bit of the trust that once held our small towns together. Number 5, backyard trampolines without safety nets. In the 90s, if you had a trampoline, it was just a big circle of springs and black fabric. No nets, no padding, and definitely no rules. We'd bounce as high as we could, try flips we had no business doing, and sometimes get launched right off the edge into the grass. Or worse, the fence. I remember neighborhood kids lining up to take turns, everyone daring each other to jump higher or land crazier. Sprained ankles, bruises, even the occasional broken arm. It was all just part of the fun. Parents might have shouted, "Be careful," from the porch, but no one thought about suing. Eventually, though, the injuries added up. Lawsuits followed. Manufacturers started adding nets, warning labels, and strict guidelines. Today's trampolines look more like cages, and some insurance companies won't even cover them. Sure, they're safer now, but ask anyone who grew up with the old ones, and they'll tell you there was nothing quite like the thrill of flying free. Number 6, snack time Cabbage Patch Kids. Now this one sounded like a great idea. At first, in the mid-90s, toy stores stocked shelves with snack time Cabbage Patch Kids. Dolls that ate plastic snacks like French fries and cookies. You'd feed it through the mouth, and a motorized jaw would pull the food into its backpack. No buttons, no off switch, just automatic chewing. Problem was, it didn't know when to stop. Kids started getting their fingers, hair, even parts of their clothing caught in those little mechanical mouths. I remember hearing about one poor girl whose ponytail got yanked clean in. Mattel got swamped with complaints. And before long, the doll was pulled from the shelves and officially recalled. These days, interactive toys are packed with safety features and emergency stops. But back then, it was a different story. We trusted the toy aisle. And the Snack Time Kid became one of the most infamous recalls of the decade, turning a cute idea into a cautionary tale parents wouldn't soon forget. Number 7, burning and distributing music CDs. If you had a CD burner in the late 90s, you were the king of the neighborhood. You'd download tracks from Napster or LimeWire, slap together a custom playlist, and burn it onto a shiny new disc. We called them mixtapes, just digital now. I remember my nephew making Summer Jams '99 with all his favorite songs, handing out copies like candy at school. It felt harmless, even creative. But the music industry didn't think so. They called it piracy. Lawsuits followed, big ones. Record labels went after college kids, parents, even grandparents. Suddenly, that innocent burned CD became a legal risk. By the early 2000s, new copyright laws made sharing music without permission a serious offense. These days, with streaming everywhere, nobody burns CDs anymore. But back then, it was how we shared memories, moods, and moments. And if you ever made one of those homemade covers with a Sharpie and a jewel case, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Number 8, LifeSavers Holes candy. It was a clever idea. Take the middle part of a regular lifesaver, the hole, and sell it as its own candy. Tiny, sweet, and easy to pop by the handful. LifeSavers Holes hit the shelves in the mid-90s and quickly became a favorite. But there was a problem. Those little discs were just the right size to get stuck in a child's throat. Ironically, the original Lifesaver was designed with a hole to prevent choking. This version? Not so much. I remember the commercials made them look fun and harmless. But safety experts raised alarms, and soon enough, reports started rolling in. Parents worried. Stores pulled them. And before long, LifeSavers Holes disappeared from the market entirely. It wasn't the taste. They were great. It was the risk. And like so many things from back then, what started as a fun twist on a classic ended up on the list of better safe than sorry. Number 9, Olestra and Lay's Wow Chips. In the mid-90s, snack lovers rejoiced when Lay's introduced Wow Chips. Crunchy, salty, and made with a magical fat substitute called Olestra. 0 fat, fewer calories, same great taste. It sounded too good to be true. And, well, it was. I remember grabbing a bag from the grocery store, thinking I'd found the guilt-free holy grail of snacking. But it didn't take long for the complaints to pour in. Cramps, bloating, and most famously, anal leakage. Yes, that's what the warning label said. The FDA required companies to print it right there on the bag. It was hard to enjoy your chips after reading that. Olestra quickly earned a bad reputation, and though it was never banned, most brands quietly dropped it. Today you won't find wow chips on shelves anymore. It was a classic case of modern science promising more than it could deliver. And for folks who tried them, the memory still leaves a bad taste. Number 10, Nestle Magic Balls. For a brief moment in the 90s, kids in America got a taste of what European kids had been enjoying for years. Chocolate treats with toys inside. Nestle Magic Balls were hollow milk chocolate spheres with tiny plastic surprises tucked inside. I remember seeing my grandkids' eyes light up as they cracked them open, more excited about the toy than the candy. But that fun didn't last long. U.S. law bans embedding non-edible objects inside food, especially when there's a choking risk. And those little toys, they raised some serious red flags. Complaints rolled in, regulators stepped in, and just like that, the magic ball vanished. Nestle later re-released them as Wonder Balls, with candy inside instead of toys. But it wasn't the same. And to this day, Kinder Surprise eggs are still banned in the US. Funny how a bit of chocolate and plastic could stir up so much trouble. For the kids of the 90s, though, that little ball packed a whole lot of wonder. Number 11, plastic bag bans. Back in the 90s, plastic bags were everywhere. Grocery stores, gas stations, corner shops. You couldn't leave a checkout without one. They were thin, crinkly, and usually ended up under the sink or stuffed in a drawer. I remember helping carry groceries in a dozen of those thank you bags, always double bagged just in case. No one thought much about where they went after, but over time, the impact added up. Landfills overflowed, oceans filled with waste, and plastic bags became a symbol of environmental neglect. So cities and states began banning them, some charging fees, others switching to paper or reusable totes altogether. Today, it's a whole different world. You might even get a dirty look for asking for plastic. It's a shift that's hard to argue with, but for those of us who grew up with bags blowing down the street like tumbleweeds, it's still a strange thing to see. Number 12, polystyrene foam food containers. If you grabbed takeout in the 90s, chances are it came in a foam clamshell. Burgers, fries, pancakes, you name it, it was served hot and ready in white styrofoam. Even your coffee came in a thick foam cup that actually kept it warm. I remember those McDonald's containers. You'd open it up and the steam would hit your face like a warm welcome. But it turns out those containers weren't so friendly to the environment. Non-biodegradable, hard to recycle, and everywhere, piling up in landfills and blowing down highways. Over time, cities and states began banning them, switching to cardboard or compostable options instead. These days, you're more likely to get your sandwich in a recycled paper box. It's cleaner, sure, but somehow less satisfying. There was something oddly comforting about the squeak of a styrofoam lid or the way it kept your fries piping hot. Not great for the planet, maybe, but undeniably a part of the way we lived. Number 13, use of ractopamine in livestock. Most folks never heard of it, but if you bought pork in the 90s, there's a good chance it came from animals fed with ractopamine. It's a drug added to livestock feed to promote lean muscle growth. Approved in the US, but banned in over 150 countries, including the entire European Union, China, and Russia. I didn't know it back then either. We just trusted what came wrapped at the butcher counter. But as concerns over animal welfare and food safety grew, ractopamine sparked international controversy. Some countries rejected entire shipments of US meat over it. While it's still legal here, many producers have phased it out to meet global standards. These days, you'll find ractopamine-free labels at some stores, though the practice isn't gone entirely. Looking back, it's a reminder of how much we didn't know, and how much we assumed was safe simply because it was on the shelf. Number 14, fortune-telling bans. Believe it or not, in many towns across America, fortune-telling was once outright illegal. In the 90s, laws in some states still labeled it as fraud or unauthorized practice of spirituality. I remember seeing little storefronts with neon signs offering palm readings or tarot sessions. Half curiosity, half taboo. In some cities, zoning laws pushed them out. In others, fortune tellers needed special licenses or risk being fined or even shut down. The logic? Authorities claimed it preyed on the vulnerable, but folks weren't being scammed. They were looking for a little mystery, a bit of comfort, or maybe just someone to talk to. Over time, court rulings began to recognize fortune-telling as a form of expression, protected under the First Amendment. Today, it's mostly legal, though still regulated in some places. And while I never had my palm read, I do miss the glow of those old shop windows, promising answers to questions you didn't know how to ask. Number 15, wearing pants on the U.S. Senate floor. It might sound unbelievable today, but until 1993, women were not allowed to wear pants on the floor of the United States Senate. It wasn't a written law, just an unspoken dress code rooted in outdated tradition. Dresses or skirts were expected, and pants were considered improper. That changed when two bold senators, Barbara Mikulski and Carol Moseley Braun, showed up in pantsuits, quietly challenging the norm. I remember seeing the footage. No grand speeches, just a quiet act of defiance. And it worked. The rules were formally updated, and women were finally allowed to wear slacks while doing the work of the nation. It may seem small now, but back then, it was a powerful moment of progress. One step, literally, in the right direction. And for those of us watching from home, it was a reminder that sometimes change comes not with a shout, but with a pair of trousers. Funny how the simplest things turn into memories. If any of these made you smile or made you say, I remember that, you're in good company. We've got plenty more where that came from. So if you'd like to keep walking down memory lane with us, hit subscribe. No pressure. Just good stories, the way they used to be.